Welcome to this explainer on the massive wildfire crisis gripping the western U.S. this August of 2026. If you've been tracking the data coming out of the region lately, you already know the situation is rapidly escalating. We're looking at a massive, interconnected environmental event that is stretching our national response capabilities to their absolute limits. Today, we're going to dive straight into the data and the on-the-ground reports to figure out exactly what is happening, where the hardest-hit areas are, and what meteorological conditions are fueling this whole shebang. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at a nation at level 5. Second, the Pacific Northwest epicenter. Third, we'll track the smoke across the borders. Fourth, we'll check on the Southwest tinderbox. And finally, we'll unpack exactly what is driving the flames. All right, let's jump into part 1, a nation at level 5. Right now, the entire country is holding at a critical alert phase. We are currently sitting at preparedness level 5. That's the highest possible level of wildland fire activity and resource demand in the country, and it's a pretty stark indicator of just how widespread this crisis has become. But what does level 5 actually mean for us? Well, it means resources are incredibly tight nationwide. We aren't just talking about a couple of isolated fires here. We're talking about crews actively battling hundreds of active wildfires all at once. And more alarmingly, that includes dozens of large, completely uncontained incidents. When the nation hits level 5, it means aircraft, engines, and firefighting personnel are stretched incredibly thin, to the point where international assistance is often requested.
Moving right along to part 2, the Pacific Northwest epicenter.
Without a doubt, Oregon is taking the absolute hardest hit right now. It is the undeniable epicenter of the nation's wildfires. The state is dealing with multiple massive smoke plumes and extreme fire behavior, particularly in Malheur, Wheeler, Harney, and Baker counties. Out there, the fuels are critically dry, and the whole situation is being exacerbated by winds that just keep ramping up through the afternoon, making containment nearly impossible for the crews on the ground. To put this into perspective, over half of all the large fires in the entire country, 51% of them are concentrated in just 3 states: Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. Just think about that for a second. The rest of the nation combined accounts for the other 49%. This Pacific Northwest cluster is what's really driving the massive strain on our resources. In Washington alone, incidents east of the Cascades are pumping heavy smoke across Okanagan County and the Columbia Basin, while Idaho is battling fires deep in rugged, really tough-to-access terrain. Let's shift to part 3, smoke across the borders. Now look at this stark contrast between neighboring regions. Up in the Pacific Northwest, we've got these massive, large-scale incidents with highly volatile behavior. But down in California, they're fighting dozens of active fires too, sharing those same dry fuels, but crucially, most of theirs are staying pretty small. The large fire activity is just significantly lower than what we're seeing up north. That said, California isn't completely escaping the Northwest crisis. Smoke from Oregon and Washington is actively drifting south, choking cities like Redding, Chico, and the Sacramento Valley. And we're seeing this crazy domino effect across the broader West. It's all connected. Idaho is seeing heavy smoke in Boise and Lewiston while facing lightning risks in the center of the state. In Montana, smoke is drifting right into Missoula and Helena. Down in Nevada, places like Elko and Winnemucca are just blanketed in haze. Utah's getting hit in Salt Lake City and Ogden. The smoke has even pushed as far east as Colorado, degrading the air quality in Fort Collins and Greeley, while the mountain regions brace for dry thunderstorms. Because of all this, red flag conditions remain highly active across these neighboring states. High, breezy winds are constantly threatening to ignite open rangelands, grass, and foothill terrain, creating a really tense environment where literally any spark can spread rapidly and unpredictably. That brings us to part 4. The Southwest tinderbox. Down in Arizona and New Mexico, they're reporting a ton of active fires as well. The conditions there really boil down to 3 words: hot, dry, and unstable. The region is suffering from persistently low humidity, but what makes it incredibly volatile right now is the atmospheric instability that sharply spikes every single afternoon. Combined with breezy winds, it creates the absolute perfect environment for dry thunderstorms, the kind that produce lightning, but no rain to extinguish the sparks they create. The whole region is basically baking. Tucson is sitting in the upper 90s under relentlessly hot and dry skies. Flagstaff is in the mid-80s, dry and choked with smoke. Over in New Mexico, Santa Fe is dealing with breezy, dry conditions, while Albuquerque is covered in haze in the upper 80s. Smoke from Arizona is even drifting east, pushing right into western New Mexico. It's just a relentless, exhausting heat cycle.
Finally, let's wrap up with part 5. What is driving the flames?
So the crucial metric we have to look at here is minimum humidity. Across the western U.S., from inland California all the way up to the plains of Washington, those minimum humidity values are plunging dangerously low, frequently dropping straight into the single digits. When humidity hits single digits, moisture is literally being sucked right out of the vegetation, turning brush and grass into highly combustible fuel.
So we're looking at a totally toxic cocktail driving this level 5 event. Critically low single-digit humidity, persistent hot and dry weather blanketing the west, breezy afternoon winds acting like a fan on a campfire, and highly unstable air generating dry thunderstorms that spark new fires daily. This combination is exactly what makes containment so incredibly difficult for our crews.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. The western U.S. remains under extreme, unyielding fire conditions, with new large fires igniting every single day under these skies, and with our resources already stretched to their absolute maximum nationwide. How long can we actually keep up the fight and hold the line? Thanks for joining me to unpack the data behind the August 2026 Western wildfire crisis today. Keep an eye on the reports and stay safe out there.